RESCU TV. We are with celebrity chef extraordinaire Mr. Luke Mangan, a bright shining star in the world of chefery and also a rescue expert. Thank you so much for being on RESCU TV.
Thank you for having me.
So we're talking about before the rise of the glamour of cooking and the rise of the celebrity chef. How do you feel about this sudden spotlight and, making chefs the sexiest men alive?
Well, I mean, look, it's pretty good for me at the moment, I guess, but, I never really got into the industry for that particular reason. The reason getting into it was for the love of cooking and food and restaurants and all that. So it's good. The celebrity chef, I mean, nearly everyone's a celebrity chef now. So.
But you really are a celebrity chef. I mean, you did do the royal wedding. Let's talk about your association with Princess Mary and Prince Frederick. How did that come about?
Well, we had a restaurant in Darlinghurst in Sydney called Salt, and Mary used to work at Bell Property as a real estate guru.
Mary, first name basis.
Mares, actually. And Mary used to come to Salt, and I got an email from some people in Denmark well before the wedding, and after asked if I was interested, and I said yes, and I spent a whole week over there doing dinners and Fred's Bucks night and things like that.
Secret?
What happens in Denmark stays in Denmark.
Wow. And tell me, you've got another big celebrity association, your relationship with Virgin Australia and Richard Branson. Tell us how that came about.
Yeah, when we had Salt in Darlinghurst, Richard...
Sir Richard.
Sir Richard. Well,
Again, first name basis with all the top people.
I call him Vicky. No, but so Richard came in and loved it and ended up inviting me to his private island in the Caribbean, Necker. So I spent a week on the island with Richard, which was amazing, and what happens on the island stays on the island.
I bet that's a really big story.
Yes, that was a good one. But anyway, so I got doing some work with Virgin Atlantic, Virgin America, and now Virgin Australia, as they've launched their new business class model in Australia, domestically and internationally. So we do all the food on that, and that's been great.
I think that's a really interesting thing as well, because traditionally a metaphor for bad food is aeroplane food. And yet here you are, someone who's renowned for your fresh produce, your incredible use of ingredients, preparing food for an airline. What made you want to be associated with that?
Well, I think, my goal and my mission is to put restaurant food in the air, and I think we can do it. Look, there are some restrictions, but, it's a good challenge for me, and I like challenges, and we're going to do it.
Now, you're also involved in some charities. What's your big charity, Camp Quality?
Well, I love Camp Quality. I think it's a great thing for kids with cancer and things like that. And we do several others, but that's one we support quite a lot.
Now, food, as we know, is a really hot subject, very trendy. But one of the things that you're really famous for is your real global approach to food. I mean, you're on cruise ships, so people from all over the world get to sample your cuisine. You're in Australia, in Asia. What are some of the upcoming hotspots for food in the world?
Well, I think everyone looks at the classics, which is great. Paris, London, New York, etc. I mean, we've got one in Tokyo now. We've got one in Singapore, and we're about to open another sort of salt tapas bar in Singapore. I think, and we've got Jakarta opening up at the end of the year.
Everyone's talking about Jakarta.
Yeah, so it's really exciting. So I like to go for places that are perhaps a little bit left field, and hopefully, create a path for others to follow.
I love it. You always do. We've been following you since Bistro Lulu, our first opened in Australia.
Yes.
And of course, glass is one of, Rescue's favourite hotspots. We hosted our experts dinner here, which they're still talking about.
I was at that. Boy, did I drink too much wine that night.
Girls really like being sitting next to you. We had a good time there. So can I just ask you, just by way of wrapping it up, what are some of the simple things that we can bring to our own kind of cookery to add a little bit of flair? What are some of the Luke Mangan touches that we can bring?
I just think, when you're cooking, the ingredients we have in this country are amazing. So try not complicate it and add too many flavours to it. But, a pinch of good sea salt over the meat or fish just before it goes out, or a drizzle of extra virgin olive oil, or a pinch of spice. But they all have to be Luke Mangan labelled.
We get it, we're supporting it. Thank you so much. We absolutely love having you. You are the touch of glamour that RESCU absolutely needed and loved, and it's a pleasure to work with you.
Thank you very much.
Luke Mangan.